introduce myself. My name is Matt Grimm. I oversee campus recreation at Stevenson University, which is a small private school outside of Baltimore. We have about 2,800 undergrads. About 2/3 of those live on campus. And going to be co-hosting today with Trevor.
How's it going, guys? My name is Trevor Brunet. I'm the competitive sports coordinator at Texas A&M San Antonio. We are a tiny little campus on the south side of San Antonio. We've been a four-year university we just graduated our first freshman class, so about 4 years. And so we're going to be, hopefully, have some information about shared space and what that reopening looks like.
So, I mean, obviously, as you all know, like the hard thing about this pandemic is nobody's an expert, right? We're all learning as we go. And now it's kind of crunch time. You know, kids are going to start moving back to our campus on the 24th of August. We start classes the 31st. So I feel like, at least on our campus, we spent a lot of time this summer talking, coming up with ideas, and now it's time to really move and make things happen. So we're interested to hear what's going on your campuses. Just so you know, at Stevenson, and I did a lot of this today before this call. One thing that's a little unique to us, we kind of have our own fitness facilities, but we share the gym facilities and all the fields. So obviously due to COVID, you got to space out your equipment. We decided to put some equipment on the mezzanine area of our gymnasium. So the way that our gymnasium works is you come in on this level and then all the seating's down and then there's a court. So basically we put fitness equipment on both mezzanine levels. We're figuring out the check-in process for that space. But it came down to a situation on our campus where there just wasn't that many places to put it. We didn't feel comfortable putting it outside, and it made the most sense. But I think the challenge for us is that's all well and good, but if we get to a better point in COVID and we can play basketball and volleyball games again, then we're going to have to move it again. So some of you might have similar experiences. Hopefully you found more permanent homes for your space, but we're interested to hear what's going on your campuses and what questions you have. Because like I said, everybody's in a different boat. For those of you, I'm thinking most of you have been on one of these at some point, but obviously if there's any questions you have, certainly put them in the chat and we'll try to monitor that as we go. Trevor, do you want to talk a little bit about your campus and what's going on?
So fortunately for us, we got our rec center got postponed. So we were supposed to break ground on a rec center in the spring, and due to COVID-19, all of our capital projects on campus that hadn't been started got canceled, which I'm sure for anybody else is the same. But we just got moved under athletics. So we will be going through this whole shared space thing. We went from the student success division, and now we're under athletics. And so we do have a little fitness center that's about 2,000 square feet. We will be sharing with athletics in the fall. And so right now we're trying to navigate what that looks like, if it's just the coaches going in there with their athletes, or if we're staffing it and while they're in there, that's the route we're trying to go. With 2,000 square feet, it's pretty easy to mitigate risk a little better than a larger facility. So we have broken our fitness center into stations, and we are using IM leagues for reservations. And so we will be doing reservations. There'll be 50-minute slots, and then we'll have 10 minutes between each reservation for cleaning. And then we're also going to do 2 shifts basically. So we'll do a lunch that's 11 to 2. We'll be open from 11 to 2, and then from 4 to 8 is how we're going to test the waters with our reopening policy. But I think for us, it's going to be trying to navigate that with the coaches and athletics and trying to get on the same page. I think for us also, it's going to be, you know, what the policy that we lay out, athletics will follow suit or follow, because that is our space. So they will be kind of sharing with us. They got put in a sticky situation. So they are trying to create the athletic director is trying to create a athletic program from the ground up with no budget. They cut the athletic fee. So that's kind of where he's at. So we will be, that's what we're going to test. I know a lot of universities and colleges have bigger facilities than 2,000 square foot that they have to worry about. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully it works. Hopefully, we'll see.
You know, I know the title of this one, you know, shared facilities. I feel like at Stevenson, we've really taken the approach of being a more shared campus. And I don't know how many of you were in this boat, but we oversee 2 fitness centers, which pre-COVID had around 50 pieces of equipment in them. So, I mean, each fitness center, I would say, is probably the same size as like a high school fitness area. We're only going to have a little more than 20 pieces combined in those 2 areas after spacing everything out. So like I said, we put some of the stuff on the mezzanine of the athletics gym, which we also use for intramurals, but we had to find some alternative spaces. So we put a couple of cardio pieces in like the residence life building. We put 4 other pieces in one of the dorms that has like a large lobby space, because, you know, I feel like when it comes to residence halls, at least on our campus, like nobody really uses those like lounge areas anymore. You know, I graduated college in 2004, so it's been a minute, but, you know, I feel like people used to kind of use the lounges. I don't feel like people do that anymore. So we put some fitness equipment in there. So some of the stuff I feel like we're doing is kind of what the old models were. You know, I think there was a time period where there was a lot of fitness equipment in residence halls, and people were trying to make that push. And I know there's some schools that still do that, but, you know, just because of having to space everything and limiting the amount of equipment in a room, you know, that's kind of one way we thought outside the box. So anybody else who's on the call, you know, if you want to share what's going on your campus, because like I said, I don't think there's, all the answers are good answers, right? Like none of us went to school knowing how to run our facilities during a pandemic. So if anybody else is willing to share, we're all ears.
Hey, this is Keith Wenrich from University of Georgia. We have a shared facility. Can you all hear me? We all good? Yeah, we have a shared facility with academics and athletics. With athletics, we have the volleyball team that practices in our facility, and then the swim and dive team that uses our facility as well. We just had a phone call today, a Zoom with the volleyball team, or the volleyball coaches and athletics and trainers and all that. So just working out the details with volleyball and how it has to be sanitized and how we're bringing in the athletes in before we open up. We're opening up actually Thursday, August the 13th. So we'll be opening up then. As far as academics has they have decreased the amount of their classes. They're doing a lot of outdoor walking classes now. They are not having a scuba class. They're not having any swimming classes, no racquetball classes, which are actually really popular here. No basketball or volleyball. Actually, they are having volleyball classes, but the volleyball classes are just drills against the wall or one-on-one with someone. And then with swimming and diving, we meet with them next week, and we'll find out through the SEC just about how much they can practice. Swimming and diving is just unusual because swimmers swim year round, and they have not been allowed to swim in our facility. We also have one of the Olympic coaches that coaches our team. So we're always trying to work with them to figure out the best case scenario to help both them and us. So that's always a challenge. We have shut down, we're fortunate enough to have 4 large gyms. We have shut down our main gym with 4 courts and have spread out a lot of exercise equipment on there. And we also have inlets around the building that we're able to put some exercise cardio pieces and some weight equipment. And then Matt, we're doing the same thing. We're going to some residence halls because we just have so much equipment. We had some equipment that's just sitting in storage. We went to some residence halls, and we're going to be able to drop off some equipment at residence halls and just let them use that for the year. So yeah, we open up on August 13th, so we'll figure it out from there. And we think we have everything in place, but at least we've got about 2 weeks now to kind of fine tune everything.
Keith, I certainly appreciate you sharing all that info. I had a quick question about the residence life piece. So is anybody going to staff that? Because we just had a big conversation about today. You know, is anybody going to staff those residence life areas? Like, who's going to make sure there's wipes? Like, have you guys figured out that plan?
A little bit. We're going to, the good thing is we're only putting bikes and ellipticals over there. We don't want to put treadmills because we just seen too many. Well, I haven't seen too many TikToks. My kids have shown me too many TikToks of people on treadmills doing fun things. So, but right now we've got, the university has put around wipes just basically everywhere on campus. So they have wipe stations everywhere on campus, and Res Life is going to make sure that those wipes are full and the buckets are full when we're over there. And then we are going to send, we have a student team that works on all of our machines. They're going to go around once a week just to check on all the machines to make sure they're working properly. So, it's, you know, our hope is that, you know, it does work properly, and our hope is maybe this can help us in the future, maybe do some more collaborations with Res Life.
Good stuff. Anybody else want to share what's going on in your campus?
Hey, Bennett, Minnesota State Mankato. Yeah, we actually had an opportunity to revisit some of our facilities and have those conversations amongst, because we share some of our facilities with academics, with athletics, and kind of, you know, the last couple of months we've been hammering out agreements with who's in charge of what as far as cleaning and stuff like that goes. Because when you share a facility, sometimes the main occupant, which is usually us, is the one that's expected to be doing the cleaning and maintaining the equipment. So we're having those tough conversations and making sure that everybody steps up and kind of handles their own business and some of those things. Like everybody else is kind of doing, we're spacing out our equipment as much as possible. We have a large field house that we're in conversations with our athletics, because we're separate from athletics. Their weight room is not big enough to house our football team and all these other groups coming through that need to socially distance. So they were looking at bringing a piece of equipment from there, kind of segregate. It's underneath our basketball facility. The general student population does get an opportunity to utilize that typically. They were looking at taking that and bringing it out into our very visible field house, which makes it difficult for us because it's fine for them using it during that time frame. But when we have opportunities, you know, we haven't been given the green light to use that equipment. And all of a sudden we're policing equipment that people are looking to get equipment, get a workout in, and there's equipment not being used, and we say you can't use it. So we're tiptoeing around a lot of those subjects right now. I'm sure some other campuses are kind of doing the same thing.
Ben, when is your facility open now, or are you still, is that in a couple weeks?
We got about 2 weeks out right now. August 17th, so a little more than that, well, a little under 3 weeks out. August 17th is when we're going to have a little soft opening. Our students return the following Monday, so that's our lead into that. I know Trevor mentioned you're using IM leagues as far as the reservations go. What is everybody else using, or as far as that goes? We're trying to get a vendor on board right now, but they're not following back with emails and all that fun stuff. So, if anybody wants to share what they're using as far as, you know, student reservations, that'd be helpful for us.
So I know a couple universities are using, I mean, everybody that has Fusion. We don't actually have a dedicated rec tracking system right now. So that's one reason why we're doing IM leagues. But I know Fusion, I think, has been making some modifications maybe, or adding some features that allows for that stuff.
Yeah, we have like a directors group that talks within DC, Delaware, and Maryland. We meet every like 2 weeks. I feel like there's a few ones that have been out there. So like some people use Fusion, some people use IMWigs, some people are using an app called Atleto. Some people are using Do Sports Easy, and then I've actually heard of some people who are just using Sign Up Genius, which like our campus uses a lot of. I mean, it's pretty basic. It's just web-based, but those are kind of the five that I've heard of, unless anybody else has one that I haven't heard of yet.
No.
I know we're trying to work with Motion Vibe right now, which is used at our local YMCA, along with a lot of, I know other YMCAs use that for their opening as well.
Ben, any other questions for the group?
Not at this time, no.
Okay, cool. I appreciate you sharing. Anybody else? Like I said, I think there's a lot of value in us just sharing what's going on campus, when we're reopening, what questions we have. Trevor and I are both in the boat of like, we're just here to help. So, I feel like, I could be wrong, but most of us who have shared facilities are probably sharing them with athletics. I'm sure that we know the general issues like we have with them. Like, for instance, a lot of, because we're NCAA Division III, so a lot of our coaches also have secondary responsibilities. So like the basketball coach oversees our gymnasium, the lacrosse coach oversees our turf field. They're very territorial about what's going on. I feel like that's probably everyone's challenge. But as far as, whoever you share facilities with, are there any, new challenges that you're having with that group other than I feel like the challenges that everybody typically has? Maybe something that COVID brought on. Okay.
For those that are, I guess, that are actually that share spaces, who's responsible for if y'all figured this out? But who is responsible for providing the cleaning agents or coming up with that new? So I know we purchased a hydrostatic sprayer to help spray our fitness center stuff. So is that put on y'all as a rec department, or is that put on athletics, or are y'all going joint on that, or anybody?
We're fully in charge of our own rec center as far as that goes. We have building services staff that come through once a day. They do a deep clean once a day in all of our facilities. In our shared facilities, we've kind of just had a communication with our dance program, which utilizes some of our dance studios, and that they clean when they show up and they clean when they leave, to leave the space better. The trouble that we have is we allow some student groups to utilize it as well, because there's a lot of cultural groups on campus that do dance, practice their dance routines in our dance studio. So how are we going to do that with, allow them access with and leave them to the same high standard as we do other offices, because it's just students. It's not an office you can go back to and talk to them if there's issues. So that's one of the challenges that we run into as far as who's in charge. So overall, just our building services does one big thing each day, and then the shared spaces we're leaving up to individuals to clean when they arrive, assume it's dirty when they arrive, and assume it's dirty before they leave to clean it up.
One question I had for the group, just overall, like, what is your cleaning plan? Because, I know some people are using electrostatic sprayers, some people are just doing wipes, some people are doing wipes and some type of spray bottle. I actually had a call last week with somebody who's selling this product that basically cleans the air every hour. So, and I can certainly try to look it up and share it in the chat. Basically, NASA uses this technology. It's like this little box that cleans the air. It's like $2,000 a unit. It was interesting. I don't necessarily have $2,000 for all my spaces, but if I had extra money to burn, I might. So just, as far as an overall cleaning plan, what does yours look like on your campus at this point?
Hey, this is Brad with LSU. I'll just share a little bit. We have we're in a unique position because some of our spaces, we also have a K through 12 on campus, and so they have some of their PE classes in our building, and so between them and kinesiology, it's a semi-shared, if you will. We own and operate it, but they have access to our space. With regards to cleaning, we've pretty much thrown the kitchen sink at everything. We have the electrostatic sprayer, the 360. We also have incorporated handheld UV wands that we've gotten through a commercial hotel chain. They're about $150 a piece. It's a handheld UV wand that we have about 6 of them that we deploy throughout the day, that we do keyboards and day locker keypads, handrails, doorknobs, things that we don't have to worry about using spray and wipes or gym wipes because those are in short supply. And what's great about these UV wands is they run for 4 or 5 hours. You're able to go through and hit everything and then plug them back in and do the whole thing over again tomorrow without having to rely on a solution or paper towels or an exorbitant amount of PPE in order to have the effect that you want. So that was probably one of the things that we've added to our arsenal that before COVID, it probably wouldn't have been on the radar.
So Brad, just to kind of ask a question about that, like how many UV wands did you buy, or like is there a certain number you have per space, or I guess how did you figure out how many you were gonna utilize?
Yeah, so it came out with staff. So we have 6 total units, but that's because we have 2 shifts of 3 people throughout the day that go through and do those activities or do that function. So if we would have had 8 people, we would have got 8. So it that way each person can have their own for that time frame. They're not sharing, and they just clean it, disinfect it, plug it back in, and they come back tomorrow and are able to get right back on it again. So they're about $153 a piece. So they're not too terribly expensive. It's through AmericanHotel.com, AmericanHotel.com. And we got turned on to them because they were doing hotel rooms with them. They were flipping hotel rooms. So they do the desk and the lamp and the phone and the bed sheets with this device. And we thought, well, if it's good enough for a hotel, it ought to work in our setting. So that's how we came across them.
You said that link, Brad, was American Hotel? room?
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat, but it's americanhotel.com. Americanhotel.com.
Anybody else want to share their cleaning plan on their campus? Is anybody still struggling or trying to figure out their cleaning plan on campus? You know, maybe somebody on the call can help you with that.
I guess I'd be interested to know how many people have a blocked out time of the day within their normal hours that if they turn away people during, like, let's say, I know that North Dakota State has a time during the day, I guess 2 to 3 o'clock or 1 to 2, something like that, right after their lunch hour where they shut down for a full hour to allow for a full cleaning. Or is it just something folks are doing throughout the course of the day, or is it there is, you know, set times where they completely sanitize the whole thing, whole facility?
So we will be, I mean, I guess you could say we're going to have blocked out, but we will, like I said, we're going to do basically shifts. So we're going to have we'll be open from 11 to 2, and then from 2 till 4 o'clock, we'll be closed. And so we're going to utilize that time to clean, and then we'll be open from 4 to 8 again, and then close at 8. And then we're going to allot an hour after each shift to, after the closing shift, to clean up and get everything sorted for the next day.
So sorry, I joined kind of late, so I'm not sure what's been said or not already, but I'm at University of Rhode Island, and we're talking right now about using like a similar kind of block system, but where they'll sign up for like an hour to come work out. So instead of having the drop-in access, it'll be like you sign up, we limit the number of people that come in, and then we're closed for at least 30 minutes, maybe an hour, depending on kind of what our schedule ends up being, where we'll do like quick sanitization. And then at the end of every day, we'll have like a deep clean, and then custodial is in early in the morning before we reopen, so they do a deep clean as well. That's for our rec spaces. For our athletic spaces, it's similar to what someone was talking about before, where like you assume it's dirty when you enter, clean, you assume it's dirty before you leave, clean again, and kind of keeping up with it themselves. And then custodial every morning coming in to do a deep clean.
No, that's good info. I think the challenge for us at Stevenson, again, being a smaller school, is, you know, I think what we're doing is the 90-minute blocks. So we're going to give people 75 minutes to work out because we pulled some people, and that seemed to be the most popular time from the poll that they said they wanted to work out in. And then we're going to do 15 minutes of cleaning. I know that there's a lot of schools that, you know, some are shutting down like 2 times a day to do a deep clean. Some are doing it once, some are doing it afterwards. So I think it varies. I think the biggest challenge for us is like, we're already like going to have way less people in the fitness center than we used to have. I think it's going to be a challenge to set up time during the day to deep clean. So, I mean, I definitely think we're going to deep clean at night, but I don't think we're going to deep clean during the day. Anybody else with any questions, comments, tidbits that they've learned over the last 4 months that they could share with the group?
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is David. I'm at USC. We haven't reopened yet, but we do share spaces with both PE classes and with athletics. And I'm wondering if other people have had an increase in requests for space from those groups on their campus. So like for athletics and PE and or academic classes, since they may have to create more social distancing, have people been getting requests for larger spaces, or how are you kind of like managing the difference in what's required for NCAA or athletics as far as their like cleaning or social distancing or masks on or off or those kind of things that they may or may not have different policies related to like the rest of your facilities?
So I can say from our standpoint at our school, I think earlier on, there were some academic programs that asked if they could move it into gyms. I feel like our athletic director didn't feel comfortable doing that. So that was kind of, put to the side. Luckily for us, like for typical classes, like we have a 17-to-1 ratio. And luckily our classrooms are probably a little oversized. So, I mean, they've kind of given everybody like a little table instead of having like the big long tables you're used to in rooms. So I don't think we had to distance the classrooms as significantly as some other programs have had to. One challenge that we've faced has actually been with the band. So, I'm sure everybody's bands operate differently, but there's a lot, like our band usually practices indoors. Obviously, that's people blowing instruments indoors, and you all know that I think, having anything that produces droplets indoors is problematic at this point. So trying to find a space for them was definitely challenging. Like we have a secondary gym and they usually practice there, but we've kind of taken them out because they're a large group and we didn't feel comfortable with that. But no, I mean, I can't say we've had a lot of demand from the academic side.
And David, go ahead, Ben.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I was going to say to kind of touch on what you were asking. So we've actually had less because one, our facility is super small, and so it's and the way we have it broken down with equipment in stations, we had to move our fitness equipment into our little fitness studio that we had, or our cardio equipment we moved into a separate room. And so it's just difficult to maintain that social distancing. So I think they went the route of more outdoor physical activity classes. So the running, the jogging and the stuff like that. So yeah, we've had less requests for our facilities, our indoor facilities anyways.
Yeah, I schedule our facilities, and the requests have been up a little bit, but nothing too concerning. Nothing to where our programming is going to be impacted at all. One thing our university is doing is basically saying, I'm sure a lot of us have outside rentals that use some of our things at times. We have a brand new sports dome that we have to generate $350,000 worth of revenue for, and from outside rentals, and we're just shutting any outside groups down right now. So where those groups would normally fill in, those are opportunities that have kind of opened up. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise, except for if you're doing the books. So, but that's kind of worked itself out by some groups coming in, needing more space, and then other ones not needing any now.
Anybody else with questions, comments? Anything that they want to share with the group?
So I have a question, which I'm sorry if this has already been discussed, but how are schools handling contact tracing, specifically with like if you have your athletics groups or other groups that have their own keys, their own access, but it's still like a shared space. So contact tracing for the building still has to be happening. Like, how are you all handling it at your schools, or are you?
So at Stevenson, I guess I'm in an interesting spot because I actually serve on athletic senior staff as well as running the rec program. Everybody who was on athletic senior staff was basically told you had to do the contact tracing course. And we have meetings next week to figure out, you know, exactly what we have to do if there's a case, if we have to contact trace. So if we had this call next Friday, I feel like I could help you, but that's kind of where we're at in that process. Any other thoughts or things you want to talk about or questions that you have? I mean, I feel like we're all in that boat. We're learning something new about COVID every day. Right or wrong, this is, at some point you've got to make decisions and buy stuff and roll and make a plan. So, anything that we can do to help.
So Jessica, kind of what we're doing is, and this is, I would think, probably what a lot of universities are doing, but we're going to have them do a pre-screen. That way we kind of mitigate if, we at least have a baseline of, okay, they said they were, they didn't meet any of the symptoms. They didn't have any of the symptoms. So, and then we're also going to be working with our risk management person on campus to kind of get on the same page as far as how they're tracking, the contact tracing for the whole university. So I'm a big believer in if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So just utilizing what she's got going for the university, and then we'll help the cause by managing our little space the same way. So.
Anybody else? Thoughts? Questions? Comments?
Concerns?
Speak now or forever hold your peace. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you guys jumping on 4 o'clock on a Friday. I feel like this is kind of the equivalent if you've ever been to a NIRSA conference of like having the 8 o'clock session. So I know we all got a lot going on. I wish you the best in navigating this new world. I'll put my information in the chat if you want to connect later. I'd certainly be willing to tell you what we're doing here, just so you have some baseline to go on. And I hope you guys have a good weekend.